Hey guys, and welcome back to Rainbow Ink. Welcome back to part 2, me trying to sort Stitch's cousins. Last month, I sorted a lot of Stitch's cousins in the Camp Half-Blood cabins. For this one, is going to be completely different. We're not even going to talk about the Camp Half-Blood cabins. I know this is how the sorting videos go. They get sorted into Camp Half-Blood. But today, we are sorting some of Stitch's cousins to gods that don't have cabins at Camp Half-Blood, because not every Greek deity or god has cabins at Camp Half-Blood. And we're also doing one other thing with it. We're also adding the Roman gods from Camp Jupiter. I know Camp Jupiter doesn't have sorting per se. Usually they get sorted in their cohorts. Usually, if memory serves me, they have to get a handwritten personal letter to get them into one of the certain 5 cohorts. Hopefully I said that right. I don't know. Camp Jupiter is more war-based and army-based than Camp Half-Blood being homey-based, so there's that. And because we're going off of gods that don't have cabins at Camp Half-Blood, I don't have physical signs, but I did make some in case they did have a cabin. They just don't have a cabin number. And it took me a day to create all of them, both Roman and the Greeks. So there's that. And of course, we're not sorting every single of Stitch's cousins that's left over because I can't do that personally. I know there's a couple I probably missed in the first video, which heard up there in the description below, that I was saving for this video, and there are still some more that I didn't sort for either video. I'll just let their names go across the screen now. It's still a lot, but mainly we're going to go through each of the gods or goddesses from the Greek or Roman mythologies that I figured that they would be a good chance for if they were the child of this god or goddess, per se. If I mispronounce any of these names, I apologize in advance. I suck at pronouncing names. Most of the characters don't have official artwork. We are pulling from all 4 movies, which in my last video, I didn't realize there was 4 movies. I knew there was at least 3, but I didn't know there was a 4th. Anime, the manga, video games, because I forgot to mention that as well, TV show, and even the Disney magazine. So we have a lot to pull from. Even saying that, most of these characters don't have an official art for them, and so there's just gonna be a little box that says experiment not found or whatever. I'll have their names also on the screen. A good few of them I did find actual pictures that are the official or something that they're from. Either way, like I just said, their names will also be on the screen along with a bunch of pictures, so there's that. As well, let's get into the sortings. We are starting with the Greek gods because I've decided to wear my Percy Jackson shirt first, and once we get to the Roman gods, I'll switch out. So, also, if you guys see me look down a lot, I have my little list of my gods and goddesses and characters. It's only 3 pages this time versus 5 or 6 from last time, so hopefully this video will be short. For our first Greek god, or I should say goddess, some of them will have 2 different names, so I'm going to say both of them as well. So hopefully I'm saying this right. Or Oxo. Hopefully, one of those is the correct pronunciation. Hopefully either word is the correct pronunciation. She is the goddess of pretty much growth. She's more of a spring goddess. She gets associated with Persephone a lot and Demeter and all that. It's mixed up between oh, she's a goddess to a deity and stuff like that. She mainly is the goddess of growth and scale and stuff like that. So there is 5 different cousins that I put on this list: Shrink, Scale, Underway, China, and then Auntie, which all pretty much were in size difference. That's how I, no offense, went off of it, because I saw oh, is a goddess of growth and scale and stuff. I know more it's supposed to be for plant life, but either way, I just decided growth. It's there's growth of the plant, to be growth of the person, stuff like that. So there's that. Okay, next up is Arrest. My brain wants to say this. No, that's not right. Hopefully I said that right. She is the goddess of destruction and chaos. If we went off from if Stitch didn't have a personality, he would probably go in here. There's only 4 for this one. Harry, 1 dash, I'm just gonna print IMP, Whoops, and Ruit. Pretty much these ones are ones of destruction or chaos incarnate per se. I know Whoops is it's more clumsy, but it's supposed to be clumsy chaos and clumsy destruction sort of way. So I figured that would be a good one for all of those. Okay, for this next one, my brain wants to say Kratos, but it's not the one everyone's thinking of when you say that name. Because when everyone thinks of that name, they think of the main hero, protagonist, whatever, in the God of War franchise. I'm not talking about that. I am talking about Kratos with a C, who is like the personification / deity of strength and power. We're not talking about God of War. Sorry. So there is 6 that are going in here. Trix, Litz, Philip, Crash, Millie, and Strato. Wait, I said that right? Most of these are combined, of course, with strength and doing something to be strong or anything else. Like literally Litz is strong to open up lids because originally he tightens them. Originally he tightens them so you don't open them, and I think if memory serves me, it gets rehabilitated, so it's opening lids instead of tightening them, and just like strength, strong, stuff like that. Potentially Ace could have gotten here because like he was very strong, but still he was also very like self-lubricant, where it has to be like all about me and stuff, but still this works. Also, another big difference between this one and the God of War protagonist is this one is spelled with a C, while that one's not, while the God of War one's spelled with K. There's that. Okay, Adethegia, hopefully I'm saying this right, she is the goddess / preservation of food and gluttony. So most of these ones are going to be like food based. So here we go. Caramel, Cocoa, Fudgy, Nacho, Carney, Nobi, and Yogi. Like I said, most of these are going to be like food based / eat based. Eat, they would force you to eat sort of way. Literally a couple of these is literally made out of food. Like Caramel is literally named out of caramel. Cocoa is literally like named out of chocolate. That's the one from the Disney magazines. This one is the reason why Disney magazines are in here as well. Like Fudgy is literally a poem made of fudge. I can go on. Like literally those 3 in general are made of like food sweet base. French fry could also worked in here too. I just realized that. Oops. He's later. So either way, most of these ones, food, gluttony based, like force feed, like stuff like that. So there's that. Okay, so for this next one is Hygeia. She is pretty much the goddess of like well-being, cleanliness, hygiene, literally hygiena. Hygiene is where that comes from. And literally I only have 2 in here. I have Felix and Swoop inside. Wait, I said that right. Both of these are like, especially Felix, were to be like cleaning and neatness and stuff like that as well. So, and I know at the end of like Felix's episode, because this is one of the ones that did have an episode within the Lilo and Stitch series, I know in the end they flip it to where he becomes not a clean freak, whatever, they flip it to where he's completely dirty when they give him the end too. I know that, but still, originally his purpose was cleanliness and stuff. That's what his Jumba made for, so there's that. Next up, one that we've seen in the Percy Jackson world, more within the Lost Hero, I should say. Fiona, hopefully I said that right, the goddess of ice and snow. And truthfully, she is tied with the most, one with 9. There's another one, so we'll get to here in a few minutes. But the characters are Mart, Flora, Gaslight, Chili, Slushy, Berg 1, Cooler, Berg 2, and Frosty D. Mostly, they are ice elemental powers. Literally, of course, like the biggest one out of all of these guys is Slushy, because literally it had its own episode title and about it in the Lilo and Stitch series. Pretty much, like I just stated, all of these are like ice types. Ice elemental, I want to say ice types because Pokemon. Ice elemental, they cool things off. Snow, literally, is the goddess of snow and ice. We meet her in the Lost Hero book. Like, literally, Leo flirts with her, and she tries and kills them all. Here's that. Okay, hopefully I'm saying this right. Arlesia, she is the goddess / personification of truth and sincerity. So, where are we going with this one? So, she only has one experiment to call her own, and that is Fibber. And Fibber is literally a lie detector. It tells the person if they're telling the truth or not. You see where I went with this. Literally, there's a goddess of truth, and Fibber realizes whether you're telling a lie or telling the truth. Yeah, it feels like I'm grasping at straws at this one, but also not entirely, because there is a goddess of truth, so, Okay, next up is Eggly. Hopefully I said that right. This one could be both as a goddess or a spirit. Pretty much just personification of, like, suffering and, like, right before you die. per se. Like, how you feel, like, before you die scenario. Like, how you're in, like, a lot of pain, you're about to die, like, those last moments. There's only 4 in this one. Hawker, Smiler, Kramer, and Pufflizer. Pretty much all these, like, can cause great damage and make you suffer from a wound / pretty much suffer in general. Literally one Hoxalugi, and it's like acid. Okay, now I feel like I'm grasping at straws. So for our next one, actually has 2 different spellings, but it's pretty much said the same way. It's Kronos, but with a C, not a K. Pretty much personification and deity of time. Yes, I know, there's Kronos the Titan, aka Zeus's dad, but this one is spelled with a C. Sometimes it's spelled with a CH, sometimes it's just spelled with a C. No K, once again. So pretty much like I just stated, most of these are going to be like time-based or like time travel-based. Because literally we have skip, talk, retro, too late with a dash after a 2 before the L in late, rewind, period, future whole, past whole, and then I'm just going to try and say Holonator. But it has like 2 A's, it's very confusing. This is the other one that's tied with Fiona with 9. Like I just said, pretty much most, if not all of these, are based like time-based or literally time travel-based. Because literally Skip was an episode and Lilo used it to go in the future to be an adult. Like literally these are all time-based. So next up is Phobos, who is one of the twin gods from Ares and Aphrodite. Phobos is the god of fear. Literally Phobos, phobia. So these ones are gonna be like fear-based. Like they're gonna make you fear as well. So we have Bones, or What's the Matter with You, all one word. Pinks, Phoebe, and Jitters. Like I just stated, all of these are like fear-based ones, like they make you feel scared, make you feel frightened, per se, and that's literally it for them. Everything else. Lalimos, wait, I said that right, is our next, personification / spirit of stupidness. They only have one experiment to call their own, and it's called Blondie, and Blondie is literally, objective is to be stupid. It's to aggravate somebody with how stupid they are. It's literally named Blondie because do you know the stereotype of blondes being like stupid or being bimbos or whatever else, like literally, per se, it's literally that track of how it got its name because of that stereotype of a person's hair color. Anyways, for our next god, or I should say goddess, is Ozus, and pretty much Ozus is the goddess of like anxiety, worry, grief, depression, in that way. They only have one experiment called Worry Wart, and pretty much this experiment makes you worry. It makes you worry about things. It turns pretty much your anxiety up to 11, per se, and like, in other words, it makes your anxiety shoot automatically up and makes you very worried and concerned that something bad's gonna happen. So there's that. And then finally, we are on our last Greek god before we switch out and go to the runes. Our final Greek god is Erebus. It's more of a personification of darkness and shadows. I have 2 here, which is Shady and Eclipse. I know these ones are literally shielding you off from sunlight, and what's the opposite of light? Darkness. Literally, one shields you from sunlight, the other is literally eclipse, where it covers the sun like how an eclipse normally does. So yeah, on that last one I felt like I was grasping straws. Some of these were. So it's now time to switch out and go to Camp Jupiter. That was not a good transition. Before I get into the Roman gods, I want to say real quick, this is very surreal and weird, wearing a Camp Jupiter shirt for a sorting video. So this is very fun, very surreal. Also, there is a couple of these gods that do have Greek counterparts to them that are well known, mainly sticking with the Roman counterparts since we are now in Camp Jupiter. For our first Roman god is Circalinus, who's the god of odor. I believe we hear a little bit about this god in Camp Jupiter Classified, that book. This god only has 2 ones. Deodorant and nozzle, pretty much both of these are what they're supposed to do is with odor and stank and smells and things like that. So next up, Pluto, in his Greek name, Hades, but sticking with Pluto. Pluto is the god of the underworld, but he's also equivalent with riches and wealth as well, and also like Hazel with her powers. Like I know it's more of a curse, but like her being able to find gems and stuff So there's only 3 per se: Chrysalis, Zirconia, and this is gonna be completely wrong. Slinky. Most of these is like literally like jewel based, like I just stated. I was like how I said with Hazel and her powers. Again, I know it's more of a curse, but still, like jewel based. Like literally one of them is named Crystallization or something like that. There's that. For this next one, this is another Roman god that has a big Greek god affiliation with it, but we know from the Heroes of Olympus series they're different than its Greek personification, especially when it comes with their children, and this one which is Minerva, who is the Roman version of Athena, who is her Greek version, and Anoma is still like a goddess of wisdom and like law and strategy and like the arts, but we know from what it was said in Heroes of Olympus, the mark of Athena, when Annabeth and Reyna get together, and I think it's like Annabeth tells her plan, and like Reyna actually agrees it's kind of a smart plan. I can remember the scene in my head, and the only reason why I'm saying the scene is because she said, because no Amarna kid would think of a plan like that, because the Amarna kids at Camp Jupiter are less war-based, more artistic-based, like more weaving and having their own little personification and more like crafty. Amarna only has one experiment called Hobby, and like literally like Hobby collects things, like literally does things like we would consider it as a hobby, and like collecting things, like doing crafts, stuff like that. For this one, it feels like I'm grasping at straws, but I only remember as this big extravagant one because of that conversation between Reyna and Annabeth in Mark of Athena. Next up is the goddess Fornax. Pretty much this goddess is associated with the baking process in ovens. So baking, and also I consider cooking. That's why it has a little bread oven as its picture on its little symbol as its moniker. I thought it was cute. Anyways, this one has 8 experiments going into it. Hertz donut, cube steak, French fry, Brit food, flapjack, tenderizer, decipher, and persona. So most of these are either chef base, baking base for it. Literally, they're making food. Okay, next up is Faunus. He usually gets put with his Greek mythology self, Pan, but at times he's also listed as a deity. But he associates like with wood and the forest and the countryside and fields and stuff like that, and only has 2, remote and hive, like beehive. Memory serves me with remote. Originally it was to chop down trees, now they preserve trees in the forest, and the hive is literally controls bees and insects in that sort of way. And the closest I could find like a god or a goddess of animals was Venice, and like literally that's it. That was kind of grasping at straws to this one. And now there's only one Roman god left. We are on our last sorting. Hopefully I'm saying it right. Tempesta. She is the Roman goddess of storms and sudden weather changes, pretty much. She only has 2, Fahrenheit and Thermon. Literally these 2, like, they can change the temperature on a dime. Mainly where the temperature in the air changes very suddenly and quickly. And that's it. And that is it. That is all of our gods and goddesses from both the Greek and Roman side that don't have cabins at Camp Applewood and are somewhat mentioned at Camp Jupiter within Heroes of Olympus and Trials of Apollo, and any spin-off books from either or series as well. We're done. Part 2 is over. I don't plan on doing a part 3. Any characters that I did sort to get today, tell me in the comments where you think they should go. If there is any other god or goddess that doesn't have a cabin at Camp Half-Blood or barely gets mentioned within any of the books, any of the cousins or experiments that I didn't sort in within these 2 videos, tell me in the comments below where you think they should go, whether it is in a Camp Half-Blood cabin or not. We're expanding our world. That is what we did today. Sorry again that I wasn't able to sort every single cousin / experiment. Sorry for the last 2 months that these ones have been a little clickbaity on title and thumbnail. Hopefully you guys enjoyed the video. Please make sure to like and subscribe. All that beautiful jazz. Last video right there. Subscriber beneath me. The first part of this video that from last month is right up there. Also, again, it will be in the link description below. And I'll see you guys next time here on Rambling. Bye.